Hello, everybody. Okie dokie. We're going to hope that we're gone live. It should have worked. Hopefully, someone's got a notification. Tell me what happens. We're going to have. Hello, Bizzle. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Um, yeah, so I've tried something different. So there should be visible, the chat should be visible up on the right. If that's working, who knows? Glad to hear you're doing well, Biz. Yay! So actually, I uploaded a video to YouTube, the first proper stream I did, and all in all, oh, my mic is very echoey. Okay, I'm not entirely sure there's a lot I can do about that one, but if we try that, I might be successful. Yeah, I'm not a professional at this just yet, but we'll get there. So today I'm going to be working on more of my Legion of the Damned, and to do this, I've actually primed up some miniatures today. Uh, So this is Marnius Calgar, done in Legion of the Damned style. It's very hard to see them when they're black on back. This is a figure I actually converted up from just a standard intercessor, and a green stuffed a cloak on them, and extended the weapon barrel, and gave them a different head and a bit of a recon pipe. And that's going to be standing in for an Eversor assassin. And then here are the two Vitrix Guard, who are going to be the bodyguards from Marnius Calgar. So what do you think, Bizzle? I think, listen, they're Legion of the Damned. We're all about flames and skulls. Until I get proper rules for my Iron Warriors, I'm going to play around with Loyalists. Send wave after wave of my own exploding men. You can see there yesterday the work we did on the vents of the Outriders, the details we put into the actual bases, give them a nice pop of colour. Trying to make sure everything actually runs in correctly, because I'm too used to holding the kind of miniature in various different places which don't actually work on the camera. So I've got to keep that in mind for these things. We have a lot of stuff to work on. Yeah, I've got a lot of models in my Legion of the Damned list to do. So we're not we're not going to be without models. But yeah, so I figured these are some of the characters we have to do. You see here that we have some problems with the primer, probably due to the weather. It's actually got some cracking on the black. It's quite hard to see in this light, but we should be able to paint over that. There's also a lot of heavy modification done to that because there's quite a bad seam line that came right up through there. I had to try shave down and make that correct. You can see here that someone had put gold paint on these before. It seemed like it might have been with a brush. I thought it would have been spray canned on, but it seems to be in a brush because it kind of got all over the place on them, almost like they were dipped. Don't think anyone dips gold though. Yes, I'm going to look into getting these sorted. I was actually very busy trying to set up the stream to make sure it actually worked. As such, I haven't had a lot of chance to get all my paints. Where these come from eBay? No, so this is your standard intercessor. So the Evasaur is your standard intercessor that they're handing out for free that I've modified to put him standing up on a rock in a much more dramatic pose. The other models, they came from the Conquest magazine, Imperium Conquest, that was out. Um, and a friend of mine who plays Minotaurs said, "Oh, well, I'm never going to use them. Do you want to use them?" And I said, "Yes, yes, I'll have a go at them." So they ended up in my possession that way. The poor fools. Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I have a gold spray. I don't. I wouldn't try apply it by hand to an entire model. That would drive me insane. We're actually going to try use some German grey to dry brush a bit of detail onto these. Just because at the moment they are very black, very flat back, which is not great. And just if we can pick out some of the details using a makeup brush, a number of these makeup brushes, I've had these for about a year or two, and I have destroyed them. They'll never be used for makeup again, but quite handy for dry brush. I don't find the smaller dry brushes to be very good at all. Hey, Emmy, lovely to see you. Don't worry about caps, that's just enthusiasm. Um, so the reason actually I don't clean my palette all the time, I tend to clean these small circular sections where I'm putting paints in them, but I don't clean the main thing because it actually builds up a texture. And having a texture on your palette is much better for when you're dry brushing than wiping your dry brush onto something like something like kitchen towel or something like that, because that will actually take a lot of the paint off, and that's when you kind of get this very dry look. So the German grey is quite muted, so we're not going to see a lot of that, which is good. It's not meant to be. I'm meant to just highlight a few things for us. All of the skulls will be going over properly. Give them some proper definition. We want to just use this German grey to pick out some of the armor panels and some of the sharper areas. Yeah, dry brushing. What we do with dry brushing is we actually take a brush and you remove most of the paint from it. So it's got very few pigments left in it, and then you run that over the surface. Uh, and if you do a nice light motion, what it will do is it will pick up just the edges of things, particularly the sharp edges of things, and just pick up the detail and help them pop out, but leave the rest of it its primary color. So you see on something like this guy, see the way he's got like these things across his fingers? His fingers are quite prominently raised. We can dry brush along them and it leaves all the crevices in there still dark. And we just pick out then the primary spots of colour. Anything that we want to give a little highlight to kind of say this is catching more light than that deeper area down there. How are we all doing today? We're all glad it's a Thursday, one step closer to the weekend. I'm not a fan of like wishing my life away, waiting for the weekend or something like that. But sometimes you really need just to take that time and a good block of it to kind of help yourself out. I know you came looking for painting, and all of a sudden I'm trying to give life lessons. But I have a tendency to use my thumb to test how much the paint is actually coming off, which looks fine until you're end of a long painting session and you've got like paint from here up to here. just layers of it. For anyone who doesn't know, Emmy runs her own Twitch channel. If I knew how to, I would give her a shout out. I'll have to organise that and figure it out for next time. If you click on her link, do go give her a follow. She plays the cutest little witchy fae games that seem like horror to me. They drive me mad trying to deal with these people. She likes to deal with these little witches. Whereas here, we're just being slightly more brutal in the grim dark far future, where there is only profit. You edit away, Emmy. Thank you for coming and listening to my dulcet tones. So I'm kind of caught on what to do with the cloaks on these fellas and this one. Because standardly, I like to paint purple cloaks. Purple is a favourite colour of mine. I've got some lovely paints for it. And it normally looks pretty well. Oh, hello, Islander Rob. How are you? There's another glorious YouTuber. Recently, Islander Rob spent the night in a haunted cottage with not very useful detective tools. He's not going to be a ghost hunter anytime soon. But bless him, he stuck it out. And that's the important thing. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I am on the Vikings of Twitch Discord, but I am not actually I'm not a Viking of Twitch. I just know some of those lovely people. My lovely Frere Rocher paint pot. Hey, it's Corvus. How are we, Corvus? I was doing some Dark Tide with Corvus and more Malicious last night. We did some higher runs than I'm used to, so that was exciting. I think exciting is a word we can use for it. Right, so I'm going to move on to painting the bases here. So this is Army Painter, Alien Purple. Yeah, they were fours. They were fours, and Corvus carried us all the way. He was very effective. So I'm going to use Alien Purple for the base, and then I'm going to use Toxic Boils when it comes to actually dry brushes. If only because I do have a paint in between these two, but I can't find where it is. So far we've used Model Color, Vallejo German Grey, and we're going to go on to this one next. And we will see where we go from there. Yeah, I hope someone has a clip of that Corvus. Corvus managed to defend us for quite a while when Moro and I were, let's just say, on the floor bleeding. He was saying, I'm having none of that. Came in and saved the day. I have a tub of water right there, and yet I will lick my brush to try and get it wet. That shows some sense of something. Not sure what it is. Definitely shows some sense of something. I'm going to need a bigger brush. This is going to take forever with such a small brush. As you can tell, I'm horribly patient. I know a few of the people watching are painters themselves, either part-time or multiple times. I'm hoping some people get some inspiration out of this to grab some paints. Now this is a horrible rush. It cost about nothing. I think I paid about €1 for this, but it's entirely for doing things like this because you can cover a lot of ground a lot quicker with it. And you can go back and do the finer details later. I know I do have a friend of mine, a good friend, who could actually probably tell you through the old paint range. I don't know if she can do it through the new paint range. What various different types of paints are by taste alone through extensive brush licking. Yes, these are Magnus Calgar's Honor Guard, who I have taken off the majority of the Ultramarine symbols for, put some skulls on it, and yeah, they're joining my Legion of the Damned. There's Magnus Calgar himself, um, with some extra skulls on his base. Removing all this detail here was a pain. And I gave him a back banner because I didn't want the big Ultramarines logo there, and I wanted to do some more freehand on there. And then I carefully made it look tattered by carving out some tiny holes in it, and added some more skulls there. They'll all become more visible as we go. Just realised I'm going to need a lot more of this paint than I thought so. Always best to make sure you've got no paint on your hands before you pick the model back up. Nothing worse than coming back and kind of going, oh, I've done a wonderful paint job there, and then I've smeared something just everywhere. The something the Annihilator is that character's name, isn't it? I actually have him downstairs. I'm not sure whether I plan to do him up as an Iron Warrior, which is my chosen Chaos Legion, or if I'm going to do him up as just a tribute to the old artwork that he's based on. Yeah, they really suckered us in there with nostalgia. We fell for it bad. You have a copy of that. Oh, that's lovely. It's a wonderful picture. Remember the time just thinking how it encompassed chaos so well. Everything about it was just perfectly horrible. Who was the artist? Can anyone remember? You'll get 2 internet points if you figure out who the artist is. Please note, internet points are not worth anything. May not be redeemed for other purchases. Yeah, once I get affiliated, I'll actually have points on the channel. And then I'll have to figure out what to do with points on the channel. Maybe I'll ask more about, can you do some sound bites? Some people can shout, for the Emperor! Or down with this sort of thing. Mark Gibbons? Mark Gibbons is a very good artist. He's done some of the better Space Marine stuff. So Corvus, did you get any models out to paint in the end? You're sitting in your painting shed surrounded by unfinished grey. Which is fine. I'm not I don't judge people who have unpainted armies. Because that's not fun for some people. Personally, hey, it's Lorcan. Hey, you doing, Lorcan? Glad you could join us. Lorcan will enjoy one of my later streams where I'm going to be painting some BattleTech. I have an urban mech lance. Shamed Corvus isn't going out to his painting shed. Yeah, Mark Gibbons. Yeah, Mark Gibbons is one of the better illustrators Games Workshop ever had. Privateer Press had some fantastic ones though. I think anytime a games company, hey Mark, how are you doing? Anytime a games company um, lets their artists just create without saying you need to look at this model here that we've already created and create a picture of it. I think that's where it really shines because that's where all the conversions come from. You see something cool that someone's made up, and you kind of go, I want to do that. And it works for some games and not for some other games, unfortunately. Some games have kind of more set loadouts. Like BattleTech is it's not a game you see highly converted miniatures in. You see lovely paint jobs, but you don't see a lot of big conversions. 14 mechs. Did you do 14 mechs last night, Nagel? That would be impressive. Yes, younger kids do. While they might appreciate kind of slapping models and putting the paint on them, when you try to do that fine line work, it gets a bit harder. It's a bit of a tricky one. So you're doing a worldwide event. Is that like will you have rankings and that sort of thing? Or is this just these results make a difference to everybody in the world? Oh, airbrushing. Airbrushing is something I take great joy in, but it also drives me insane because I'm not very good with using an airbrush. And I wish I look at guides and things like that and I go, oh, that's easy, I could do that. And I try do it and it's just like I've got a 3-year-old with a crayon trying to cover things up. Which is new, not what we want. Good old Catalyst Games letting people in. Catalyst Games Lab? That's it, isn't it? Catalyst Games Labs. So the people who do BattleTech currently. And they seem to be doing a good job of it. We've done 2 very successful Kickstarters now. Someone might have the stats of how much money they made off those. But there was an absolute fortune. It's definitely in the millions for both of them as far as I'm aware. Now, I must admit, I've never kept up with the story for BattleTech. It's probably because there's more history to it than even the 40k universe. Because it's just there's so many their extended books, extended universe is just massive. It's really nice. It's really good to see. And unlike Disney, they might not kill off the extended universe. The Mercenaries Kickstarter was 7.5 million. 7.5 million. And yet they still didn't get me my Corsair Frankenmech. Which, for those of you who played MechWarrior 5, will understand is the best mech ever. Dubbed by some people here as a walking war crime. Frankenmechs, if those of you who don't know, they literally take giant machines and jam them all together. Oh, Bizzle just loves his Marauder. Is it Marauder 2 or Marauder 3 we had you in Bizzle? We had a Bizzle in a Marauder with more. The Marauder 2, we had him in, in a Marauder with more double heat sinks than sense, and he still would manage to shut it down. But you know, his favourite hobby was jump jetting up onto the nearest building, taking shots at everything. I know plenty of people who need more heat sinks, who burn themselves out. Now, so here's a chat question. These Vitrix Guard, who are these people? Who are guarding this fella. There is bodyguards that'll step in front and take a shot. What colour cloaks should they have? I mean, it could do red, I suppose, but I don't know if red is just a bit dull. Yellow, green. Yeah, that fits into the aesthetic a lot, guys. Oh, Batman was scary. Maybe that'll make these guys scarier. Although all the people he got yellow, green, and red all died. The only one who didn't was the one with the black cloak. I say that completely as a non-expert on the DC universe. We need to get someone in as an expert on it. I don't know who you'd actually call in to be an expert on that. That's the bases, base coated. So start picking out some of the other details. So I think what we're probably going to go with next is trying to pick out some of those skulls. Because you can't do Legion of the Damned without skulls and flames. And we did some freehanding of flames last time. There's only so much you can do. Right, so we're going to jump to a different colour range. So we're going to go to game colour. This is bone white, which apparently translates to blanco huso. Yep. So we see if we can get some of these skulls picked out, which at least gives us a starting point for what they could be. And it's only just now I realised that when I converted up this model, if we see, I don't know if we can see quite. Let me see if I can turn the light up. See right in here into his legs. I actually meant to put green stuff in between the joints and form it into wells, so I haven't actually done that yet, so I'm going to have to go back and do that with him. At the moment, it just looks like he's got like one completely broken leg, which is probably less than ideal. There's a mini of Cannon Francomech now. Legs and most of the torso from a rifleman. One side of the torso and an arm from an archer, one arm from a warhammer, and the head is of a phoenix hawk. Good lord, what's that called? Right, so what we're going to do, what we're mostly doing on this stream is just picking out a lot of base colours. So I'm not wondering too much about all the details yet. Although that is a bit heavy, so I'll make sure we're not too heavy on these. So all of these will probably have second coats and then a highlight. We'll have to wait for the first coat to dry completely, so I doubt we'll be doing it on stream. We'll see how that works out. You still with me there, chat, or have I lost you? It's my first time using OBS. Try to put things together, so I'm not 100% sure that everything will go stream. Working away. I understand that. It works through, unfortunately, many a lunch. Oh, thank you very much for that. Pushy back a meeting. I'm kind of wondering how Mark is trying to purge a cold room. Is he setting fire to it? Plugging up all the holes? So we attached an orc skull to the back of the ammo feeds because it looked a bit bare, and orc skulls usefully take up a lot of room. So that's always a bonus. So, if anything, I hope this stream gives people an idea that it don't have to be Golden Demon level or Crystal Brush winning or any of those award shows to paint and have fun. Wrong product was tapped to the wrong line at least 5 times while you're away. Somebody is working in a bar today. Being live streamed all over the world. So I'm going to be doing putting the Tyranid head on Calgar's base, just into this bone color as well, which is not the color it's going to end up, but it can't end up black either. I'll probably try paint it to match my my own Tyranid forces. Which are known as High Feet Clawsome. Which is a design I stole from Kirsten Williams, who's a Golden Demon winning painter. So she paints her Hive fleet a little better than mine. But I stole the design off her. I say stole, I asked, and she described how she did it. Which is always nice. So the reason I'm still painting these beasties, these Legion of the Damned, is because I know what I'm painting them as, which makes it easier for my brain to just kind of go, oh yeah, we know what we're doing here. Whereas I have a bunch of battle mechs I need to do because I want to see them painted, but I don't know what colours I'm going to paint them in. Great Primer, I have seen his latest stuff. It horrifies me that he puts such playable miniatures in dioramas, but he does it really well, and that's what he enjoys. So if anyone hasn't seen Grey Primer on Instagram or YouTube, recommend a follow. Lovely fellow. I helped him judge a painting competition at GaelCon at the weekend before last. There's some lovely stuff there. Drop of water in there. It's getting a bit dry. Yeah. We're starting to look a bit more Legion of the Damned-y. So what do we think the chances are that I'm actually going to get in a game of 10th edition Warhammer 40k before 11th edition comes out? Considering my track record, it's not great. Although that being said, I played some Alpha Strike at GaelCon. That wasn't too bad. Don't need to paint many things to play that. To be honest, I could just borrow all of it. Between Nagel and Mark there, I presume they've got probably one or two of everything that's out available. There we go, that's some skull details appearing there. That's all we need to do. We don't need to achieve perfection in one go. That applies to much more than just model painting. I have plenty of people who paint models that I'm just astounded by the works of art they put out. And then I have people who think I do works of art. So that was a strange one. Just a little sliver of something there caught on the model, which made me worried for a second that I actually hadn't taken off a piece of sprue. But no, it seems to be good. I find I tend to paint more on lunch breaks than evenings these days. Gives me an odd sense of zen in the middle of the day. So you tend to forget about the other things you're working on. Then again, I'm also used to painting by myself. Having an audience is new and interesting. I have to try not to skip too many steps when I'm off screen painting. Though I feel an odd need to fill the silence. There's not much ASMR to painting, is there? I don't know if other people tend to listen to anything or tend to watch anything while they paint. 9 times out of 10, I would have YouTube or something streaming. And the occasional time I'll just have music on if I'm trying to do something more finely detailed. I don't want to go looking up to see things. It's one of the things I actually found very odd about going back to the office to work. Was I didn't have any music on. Whereas when I was working from home, I would just turn on whatever tunes I wanted to and just blast through the work. Complete silence, Bizzle. I don't think I've heard complete silence in years. But then again, I chose to have kids. So I inflicted that one on myself. I can recommend audiobooks, Bizzle. Personally, I've got no interest in them, but I know a number of people who swear by audiobooks. They like to read audiobooks. You sort of painter Bizzle who sticks paints with their tongue sticking out the side of their mouth. You know, people are really focused when they're doing this. I'm unsure of what to do for the Vitrix faces. Because if we look at a regular assault intercessor, I've done the grills in bone. But these guys have some sort of kind of wraparound Aquila face shield. I'm not sure what way we're going to do that one. So we might leave their faces alone for a bit. You can't stick your tongue out. Do you gag? So what's the issue there? Tongue tied. Okay, got to admit, I'm not entirely sure what tongue tied is as a medical condition. Which you're, by all means, you don't need to elaborate. Alright, we're getting through the skulls on these pretty quickly, which is nice. Very short. Amazed by that because you've got a gift of the gab. Okay, so you managed to somehow not get it dealt with while you were young, and it's just not something that can be fixed now these days? Or are you just something you're not bothered to have get sorted? I wouldn't recommend I wouldn't recommend slicing it yourself, Biz. Yeah, Mark, I don't think that would actually end well at most ages. Just trying to perform elective surgery on yourself. Although, in saying that, most of us who are model makers have at one stage or another uh, managed to slice yourself with a scalpel. Wouldn't say it's a rite of passage, but definitely know there's a fair few of us who have gotten stitches or tried the old super glue method to close up something. Okay, if Lorcan, stop trying to encourage him. Putting a bit of metal into your eye. It actually got lodged in your eye. Didn't expect this to be a horror scheme, but yeah, okay. And you know you're getting to that point where you're just about finished using a paint, but you're also nearly run out of it. I don't really want, and this is the problem with dropper bottles. If I try to squeeze out some paint, I get several gallons worth of it. This is why I controversially don't like dropper bottles. I seem to be one of the few people these days who don't. The hospital was incredibly impressed with how centralised it was. They were like, good job. Yeah, I never thought you'd need to use safety gear while pinning. There was no permanent damage, Corvus, in the end. I remember in my teens, one of my first friends to get glasses who hadn't already started with glasses, because when you're grown up, some people had glasses and that was fine. But when someone changed from not having glasses to having glasses, that was a big thing. So this one friend had gotten glasses, and we were all sat chatting in this cafe, and he was passing the glasses around, and everyone was trying them and go, "Oh Jesus, these are so thick," or blah blah blah. And I put them on. I looked across the room, and some details swam into focus, and I went, "Oh shit." 2 weeks later, I was wearing my own glasses. But since then, laser eye surgery. Lasers fired directly into my brains. Well, Corvus, that is the most lasting war wound I've ever heard of from someone doing model gaming. So well done on that. I mean, we could give you even more internet points, but you're already ahead by two. But the big difference is having safety glasses and wearing safety glasses. I didn't know you had a Cyclop. Okay. Now, Mark, did you want to be Jean Grey or Wolverine with Cyclops? Yeah, Corvus, wearing glasses on glasses can be tricky. Right. I guess the next thing to start doing on these is some metallics, which means be finding some lead belcher. Emma Frost. That poor character has been done so differently in so many different ways. It's hard to actually keep up with who she's meant to be today. Excuse me a moment as I search through many paints to find the one that I thought I already had out, which is my way. Jamie Maddox, the only person who did a 1,000-man march solo. He didn't feel great after it, I must admit. Right, we can't find Ed Belcher. We're going to go with some Ironbreaker. Now, the trick with doing it with Ironbreaker means we're going to have to come back in and do a much heavier wash than I would have preferred. But I mean, we'll survive that. We just need to really darken it up after this. Ironbreaker, significantly brighter than Dead Belcher. Just going to start with the vents on the backpacks. Yeah, somewhere we know is going to be metallic. Somewhere I know I'm not going to try attempt to do some freehand later. Because all of this army so far has extensive amounts of freehand on it. Like I'm sitting there wondering why did I apply so much freehand, levels of freehand? But at least when I'm doing freehand I can say that was intended. It was meant to look like that. I'm trying to figure out what I actually want silver. Will I go with silver swords? We might just go with silver swords. If we need it later on, we can add some effects to power sword them up. Give them a bit of a glow. Do we think the camera's too far zoomed out? It needs to be in further. Plenty of time to make changes and figure out stuff. Because we'll be back next Tuesday. Could do it coming in a bit. Okay. Can I actually fix that on the fly? Yeah, I have to continue to experiment with that, seeing how far we want to get in. Here I am trying to paint the back of a sword no one's ever going to see. Don't know if anyone does that with their models. Seems like a terrible idea. These guys are technically Space Marines. I'm making them as Legion of the Damned because they're Ghost Space Marines. Uh, where's an first example? So, Legion of the Damned tend to be covered in flames and bones, appear out of nowhere, do mysterious things, and then vanish. Which I thought was fun. And some Primaris models kicking around. I decided to start painting and converting them that way. I have no idea if it makes any real sense to anybody. But they're my toy soldiers, so I'll play them how I want them. I say play. They eat, shoot, and leave. I don't think they even eat. I think they just shoot and leave. And they don't care for people asking what they're doing. Strong silent types. I'm seeing plenty of places on this model here where the primer has not, the black primer has not covered the gold altogether. So I'll try and fix all those areas off screen. So next time we come back, we'll have a more finished palette. I only actually sprayed these up this morning because I only got one of the Outriders left to do, so I didn't want to start a stream with only one Outrider to do and get him finished quite early and then just kind of wander off. I figured this way I could get a lot of basing details down. So I'm using quite a big brush, all things considered. This entire army is generally set to be a tabletop standard army. As much as I'm having fun with the various different bits of freehand and things like that, I'm not intending them to be something that we entered in a competition. So I don't think everything needs to be done that way. Most of my armies, they end up becoming a labour of love as opposed to anything else because I've never been good on the competitive scene. I've tried competitive 40k once and it made me want to tear my hair out. And back then I had hair to do that. I should try harder. Maybe it's just a skill issue, Mark. I'm gonna rock up to a BattleTech tournament uh, with just as many urban mechs as I could fit into Force. Essentially, yeah, that's right, Corvus. The try hard nature. You had somebody who kind of in their turn they were exactly 18 inches away from you. And you're like, okay, I move up 6, and you're now 12 inches away from me. And they start measuring it and go, no, you're not. Okay, well then you move too far. Yeah, hopefully I will remember about next year's BattleTech painting competition. bring along some finished minis rather than trying to paint some minis at the convention. Though I did get a lovely flashman out of it. Didn't paint him up to justice. Yeah, I very much play with friends. And when I tend to play with people I don't know too well, they tend to get salty about silly things. It makes me not want to play them again. But when you're in a tournament, you can't just kind of go, listen, let's just leave it be. And I don't want to have to suffer through unsufferable people just so somebody can get the right points in a game. So I don't enter tournaments. Oh, good idea, Nagel. All proceeds going to charity. You raised a good €80, I think, this year for charity at the GaelCon Battletech painting competition. Well, I'm happy to help either judge the competition or pointlessly enter it, whichever people prefer. You can see there, if you can get the camera at the right angle, it's quite a lot of gold underlay that was missed on those. Thought I was spraying them at all angles, I apparently wasn't. But even with that said, I think that's as far as I can go today. What's my Instagram for painting? My Instagram for painting is Stepping Between Games. I think I've linked all my socials in the About page of Twitch. There's a Facebook page, a YouTube page, and Instagram. And the actual website, which is steppingbetweengames.com. Or if you're feeling really crazy, there's a Patreon link. Okay, folks, I'm going to wrap it up there. We made some good progress, considering these were all black when we started today. So we'll see where we get next time. See about putting some actual proper colours on them. Need to figure out what's going to go on these cloaks. Probably a red. But thank you all for joining me. I'm gonna close down the stream then for the day, and I'll catch you all next week then. Take care and have a great weekend, us. Bye bye.